Good morning, this is Pixie. Another video. Let's see, how can I start this? I just called it, that's fine. Okay. I think this is a mum there showing a bit of safety. She's showing them the car, just let the car go first. Which is wise actually, if you're going to teach a child some basic road safety. What you're going to want to do is have it in its natural state. You know, if you just let people wander across the road, they might assume that's all they need to do. So I had a bit of a shit week last week actually. So a couple of weeks ago a friend died, and he's a client, so I do sort of care related type work and social care, stuff like that. So yeah, that wasn't great. And then I had another vulnerable client who made an allegation, and maybe I told him too many things about medicinal plants as well. So what I don't want is a load of trouble coming my way. Not that there's anything really to it anyway. So right, let's cut to the chase. So I've had some well, they would if they found ayahuasca in my flat. So I've got the different herbs, but they're in there. The thing is, they're all split up in their current. They were split up in their current state. Now I've transformed them into something completely different. So what I've done is basically I decided I better cook these things up just in case, I don't know, I do get a visit from the old Bobby, and they want to check what's in my flat. So I thought, well, I just might as well use that. Then I don't know how to explain what doesn't exist. Not as any big issue. Just sort of other sort of research as well. I was starting to do some research into cannabis. I just started to grow a little one, and so yeah, I have to deal with that as well. Anyway, because I was interested in cannabis tea actually, because I don't smoke anything. So I put this ayahuasca, I put the vines and the herbs and stuff, and so I whacked them in a saucepan. And started using some other things. I put some coconut oil. That's when they sort of pull out things. Has what like a leaching effect, like other oils do, and honey. So this way you can make things like ormus oil and stuff like that. And so yes, I've mixed that in there. I was also aware of something else I come across, that citric acid as well. So I put loads of orange juice in it and apples and things, and I just cooked it up. I added some aniseed as well. I had some aniseed powder, so that was quite nice. And so I kind of tried to create something that's not gonna, well, it doesn't taste so bad. That's what the intention was. So I cooked it for I cooked it for over an hour, and then decided that's probably enough. And then what I did is I tried some on its own. It was too many bits of bark in it, and so what I did is I filtered it, and then the mush I've separated, and so yeah, so I've had some, and I did get some sort of strange effects. I felt a bit more relaxed. I started feeling a little bit of nausea kicking in, and stomach cramps, which wasn't too bad, to be honest. I think all it did is tighten my bowels up, which wasn't too bad. Because if you suffer things like IBS and stuff like that, which I do, and if I eat certain foods, it kicks off, and so it had a kind of reverse effect. It made me want to be constipated when normally I'm not. So it sort of tightened up my bowels a bit. And then it has that effect, give me some imagery, some weird things start going on. It wasn't really strong, it was just enough to sort of, like intrusive visions or something coming in there. See, my pineal is already active. and I really didn't have to do anything to activate it. I've always had this. I always used to get this thing like, oh, you know, you're so sort of you've got such a creative imagination, and it never sounded like a positive thing. People should be saying, what a great mind you've got. It sounded like something's wrong with you for having the ability to visualise things, you know, or still have the gift that most children have, which is they can have a fantasy in their head and be a part of that fantasy. When actually the reality is that is real. The whole reality is something that people imagine, don't they? So it's not as simple as the way people would like to think. Science is saying, no, don't be imaginary, be logical. That was all some sort of weird Klingon Vulcan. Yeah, let's get it in there. Right forward, I think. Nice. So yeah, so I had some stuff going on, and there was some really weird things. It was like I had with the heart, I had my pineal activated, and I had this feeling in my heart as well. It was like my heart and my head were trying to tune at the same time, and it was a bit like, ooh, because you had this feeling like almost like your heart just stopped for a second, and maybe it did palpitate in some way, but or it's synchronised with whatever else was going on in my body. So it's a very heart-driven drug as well, and yeah, so I had these different visions, and I asked questions and I looked for the answers, and they basically, you know, is the moon landing real? And what it got is that they did send some people up there. The feedback was, but they come across there's beings already up there anyway, so it's created like a no-go area. They might send things up there to just do routine checks, but I don't know what kind of rules are set in place. But they weren't alone when it turned up. That was the issue that was going on. They've got there's some kind of lab in the moon, and there's different beings that are actually making new different species and stuff. So they're even dropping off things on this planet, or taking things from this planet and taking to other planets. Like I see this fish was getting modified in some way. So it's very sort of weird, and it was just like a big gene bank. So it's lots of, well, it's almost like embryos and things like that in vials type of thing really going on. So that's why you couldn't go up there. It was, you know, I didn't really see anything of evidence for flat Earth, because I mean I'm going to check these things out. I mean I don't fall into that. I think what I got is basically there's different dimensions. There's different Earths as well. I got this multi-Earth type thing, and that anything involved with like with the flat Earth concept is much more complicated. It's more like it's like the Matrix, like the Architect or something, and it's very much the Matrix and this dimensional stuff. Possibly if somebody's in tune with a certain frequency, they might perceive the world more in one way than another. But the other thing is there's different Earths that are going around in the orbit, and they're just in different frequencies, and they also represent they have some type of, I guess there is a consciousness behind them, but there's an Earth, I call it like Heldivore or something like that. I give it some old name, maybe I gave it, but it is about more of a place where there's more about victimhood and war and stuff like that, and it's a more of an industrialised Earth. It's a larger Earth actually, so it's kind of a place maybe certain lost souls would go, people that would choose to live out a life where they have sort of negative experiences, or they want to, I don't know, define themselves there. And then there was just a whole scale of places above Earth. So you've got this place is Gaia, there's probably Guyana or something above that, and then there's some other things that's just more sort of like more I guess more spiritually in tune with certain emotional states. Love, it's like a big experiment, and I think from these different new herbs could get created a different dimension, like a dimensional shift. And I was also thinking about stuff to do with like tinnitus or these others. Like, ringing of the ears actually, it comes and goes. It doesn't even involve any sort of sound. My ears are sensitive to sound, but it's a bit more complicated than just if I hear something similar to what's going on in my ears, then that does kind of correlate in certain ways. So what was it? I was just trying to think. Back to my questions, and I was seeing some beings, and there was some being. It was quite gross actually. He looked human-like, but he had an absolutely massive mouth. He had a really strange mouth on it, and it looked humanoid. But what he had is this other part inside his mouth, and he could squirt like oil or something out of it. So he was more animalistic in his sort of the behaviour. But yeah, different beings in there. So I saw that for a while. And then it kind of, I just felt this nausea stuff, and I thought, I just want to go. So I had some bread and stuff. I thought, I don't want to be sort of ill. I haven't really had much experience. And also I was drinking, I sort of drunk about half a cup or something of whatever I created. It's just quite difficult to basically consume. So anyway, with back to what was so all the information is worth passing on. Different races, and then with the pulp, I'm gonna basically with the bark. You need that bark to be broken down, so the chemicals within that are used as like I think inhibitors and stuff to this sort of DMT type effect. So I'm just going to put it into sodium hydroxide. It's a bit like what you do with making ormus, and sodium hydroxide is going to break down its structure, and with enough time it will actually sort of turn into virtually nothing. So it break down the chains, but it might also chemically it might change it. So it's ineffective. What we'd have to see, and it would take basically months of the process, because I don't want to wash it away, because you can reduce it. I'll probably use citric acid to neutralise the sodium hydroxide, and then just let the air do it, because basically sodium hydroxide turns back into something like baking soda, because it swaps the hydrogen atoms for oxygen atoms and things like that. While it's got hydrogen, it has a sort of corrosive ability in the alkaline. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's the way it works. So once that's done, now I can progress that into warmers. So it certainly is interesting. Anyway, this is Pixie signing off. The other thing I would say, possibly if you are spiritual, you might have little effect these things. You probably don't need these type of neurostimulants. Well, you don't have to use it to the point of getting some sort of bizarre buzz out of it, because you probably don't need it. You might disrupt other things that are going on in your mind, but sometimes a little bit of it, like I've made some type of ormus, just as a kind of supplement. That's really it, and just to stimulate, not try to dominate. That's kind of the thing to do. Anyway, yeah. So this is Pixie signing off. Have a great day, and speak to you soon.